take this down. Oh no, I hope I don't fall.
I go to war, I fight for you. Even when I've left, I do right by you. I'll be your everything, your blue sky. I go to war, I fight. Damn right.
I'm taking this off. This is my mum's jacket. I wouldn't pick the colour, but I like it because it's mum's, but it's not oversized. So if I ever want to wear it with big jumpers, I have to like ram it in. I don't quite know what's happening with my hair right now, but hi, it's Alice. Welcome to my channel. We're in a different location today, and I have a latte, artistically made. Not artistically made, because I can't seem to. I have been a barista multiple times for multiple months, but my at-home coffee thing obviously is not like coffee shop level standard milk frother. So I do well with what I have, and I appreciate it. So today's video is a bit late, I do apologise. I put off filming this. You're on a chopping board where we cut our bread. Normally I really love the new year, and I love the new start and the new possibilities and opportunities, and I like the reflecting back on how this past year has gone. This year I didn't feel like I had the emotional capacity to do so, and so I think I had like 3 days between Christmas and New Year where I was just not a shell of a human being, but I was seriously emotionally drained, and I needed to just like recuperate, recharge, and that was following me hitting burnout just before Christmas. So yeah, normally I love these, and I love New Year's resolutions and then taking the chance to like reflect on myself and how I feel this year has gone and and it was too much for me this time. But I wanted to film this video because I like doing this, because I do it every year and I get to look back and see what it was that I wanted to achieve that year and what it was that I achieved the year before and all of that, and just like to look back at myself. I mean, I just rewatched my video now in preparation for this. I was like, oh, the hair was a process to becoming blonde, which is why it would look like straw, but this is better, as we can tell. It's not going to be like this for long, because guess who's planning on scheduling in a mental breakdown to dye their hair in national lockdown? Me. This bit. We're going for blue this time. I told myself that this was the year. If there was any year that I wanted to have crazy hair colours, this would be the year, because I could be in a legal professional job for the rest of my life. And I'm not saying that if I were to have coloured hair in that time, it would in any way diminish my capabilities as a lawyer. But I still feel like for professional purposes, maybe now's the time. You know what? Okay, now's the time. But yeah, so sorry, that was a ramble. If you've never seen me do one of these before, basically at the end of each year, / start of each year, I film my New Year's resolutions and I talk about what I want from this year, and then in the end half of the video is when I reflect on how I think my last year's resolutions went and just how I felt about last year in general. I don't know how much in depth I'll go in that, because it's still kind of, I still don't feel very comfortable with reflecting on how things have gone. I feel like definitely in lockdown and this pandemic in general, I've had to be very much one step at a time, one day at a time. Otherwise it's been really overwhelming and anxiety producing and depressive episode fueling. So the thought of reflecting felt very big for me. Anyway, without further ado, let's crack on into the video, but let me have some of my drink first. Oh, latte folks, made by moi. Okay, I can't speak French, I'm trying to learn, but okay. Nice. I'm so procrastinating. Okay, my resolutions. Number 1, get a commendation, but don't think you failed if you only pass. This is in reference to the law masters I'm currently on. My mocks, I basically got passes, so that kind of really hurt me, because I had a big moment when I was like, I've always been a B grade student, I've always worked my absolute hardest and got Bs and got 2 1s, and that's been my level. So maybe a level 7 law masters conversion in 9 months is just a bit too beyond my capabilities, you know? But I know whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're probably right, so I'm trying to be really positive about it and, you know, shoot for the moon, land among the stars. So I'll aim for the highest I can, and I would love a commendation, but I need to also ready myself to be okay if I only get a pass, because at the minute that seems to be my level. But obviously I did those mocks, but I'd had like 3 weeks of teaching, and you know what? So yeah, aim for a commendation, but don't think I failed if I only passed. Finish the Duolingo French tree. I've started learning French. Don't ask me why. It was half because I watched a few episodes of Emily in Paris and half because I saw a video of Charlie Gillespie singing in French. But I was like, you know what, let's do it. Also because one of my deep-seated fears is being uneducated and inconsiderate and ignorant. So I hate the fact that as British people we don't put as much effort into learning languages as other countries do. Like if you meet someone on holiday and they're from Germany, when I went on holidays they would speak English wonderfully and I could barely speak a word of German even though I'd studied it for 5 years at school, because I could write you a page about, not anymore, I could write you a page about what I did last weekend, about going to the cinema and but holding an actual conversation, no. And I hate that. It really bugs me. And I was like, Alice, it is something only you can fix with yourself. You can't fix the whole education system. So I started learning French, which is really hard because I learned German, so I don't have French pronunciations already locked up in my brain. So my pronunciation is probably absolutely whack, but I do think that I'm trying, you know, I'm giving it a go. And what's the worst case? If I go to France and I say something and I pronounce it in the wrong way, I've made an effort to speak to somebody in their native language rather than just assuming that everybody speaks English. Finished the Duolingo tree on French. I've only got to like level 1, so we have a long way to go. It's a climb. Number 3 is play a football match. Don't know how this is going to go considering we started the year in a national lockdown, but I started playing with a women's football group team at the end of this past year, and mainly church people but a bunch of non-church people as well. It kind of stemmed from church people and then everyone invited their like work colleagues and housemates and stuff, so that's really cool. But I haven't been to many because pandemic lockdowns. But it would be really cool to just to play a match, like to do it to the point where we can go and play a match. I know that the girls often like want to play with the boys. They want to play, that sounded dodge, they want to play against the boys from church. But yeah, just like we've played fake little matches that are like 15 minutes long, but I would love to just play a match, a full match, play a match. Number 4, when you're no longer a student, do alpha. I've never done alpha before, which is a church thing. It's like a church asking the really big questions of life and thinking about that kind of stuff. Everyone does it and my church is really, really big on it, and I've never done it because I've always had student stuff and I've ran student alpha groups using the youth alpha videos, but I've never done like real adult alpha. So when I'm no longer a student, do alpha. Number 5 is save up for traveling, and I put save 5k question mark, and then I have put in brackets like the total amount that I want that to take my savings to. 5k sounds like a huge amount considering we're in a pandemic and I don't have a job, but I am very lucky with my student loan, my postgraduate student loan. Long story short, I know I'm so blessed and very lucky to be in the situation I'm in. My postgraduate loan that I receive is mine to use as I wish, and I don't pay rent as I live at home. So I am obviously trying to save up as much of that as I possibly can, and COVID has definitely made me yearn, ache, long for traveling. And I've never really done it before because I, number 1, don't want to go by myself because I want someone to share it with, and number 2, just kind of went straight into further education. I would love to. Mainly, I would love to go to Greece. I want to go to Athens. I want to go to the Athenian Acropolis. I want to see the Parthenon. I'll go into this later, but this has really been like a year of me embracing my absolute nerdiness, and I'm like, you know what? I studied classics AS, I studied ancient Greek architecture and art and read the Odyssey for a literal qualification at AS level, and I love it and it brings me a lot of joy. Obviously a lot of that stemmed from Percy Jackson, you know the drill. And I was like, why not? I was like, I really want to go, it's something I really want to do, so why don't I just do it? So post-COVID, I would love to travel, and I'm basically kind of dropping the idea to everybody I know, being like, if there's anywhere you want to go and you would go with me, let me know. I would just be the dream, you know? And I was meant to go to New York this past year for my 21st birthday. Haha, that didn't happen. Number 6, read 24 books. I shall go on to discuss my book situation when I look back at last year. But I think I could reach 24 because I've honestly been on such like a poetry kick recently. Number 7. God, I'm really calling myself out. Learn when to rest, capital letters, before you've burnt out. Law conversion is fucking tough. And so from September to the middle of December, about the week before Christmas, I worked 8 hours a day, 6 days a week, and would try and take Sunday off. That was my life. In a pandemic as well. So there wasn't really much going out. Obviously social life is diminished when you do that. Like I knew I wouldn't have a social life for 9 months, but just in those circumstances I was just working, and then the week before Christmas I woke up on a Thursday morning and was unbelievably anxious that I couldn't do anything for hours. And I'm talking like wouldn't read a book, wouldn't watch TV, wouldn't go on my phone, wouldn't do anything because I didn't want to do anything. It wasn't like, oh, I need a rest, I'm gonna watch some TV. I was just so anxious. I couldn't do any of it. I didn't eat. My dad was a gem. When he came home, he let me like, in the evening he encouraged me to put some TV on, so I put on Avatar: The Last Airbender because I'm watching that. So I ended up having a longer break at Christmas than planned because I could tell in my body that I needed it. Great, wonderful, but like next time, Alice, can we get to that before you have an anxious meltdown and burn out, please? I had the break great, but then I came back a bit more stressed because I had more to do because I'd had a break, and I want to be able to factor that in. I want to be able to, I know you can't always factor in, and I know this really well, I can't factor in when I'm gonna wake up really depressed or when I'm gonna have a really anxious evening and not be able to study after dinner or like any of that, but I just want to do better at preparing and knowing when it's sensible to rest and when it's not, you know, that's that. Number 8, visit museums. I've always thought museums are really nerdy until I went to Paris when I was 18 with my mum, my sister and my godmother, and went around all the museums, and I was like, you are so beautiful. And then have not really been intrigued by it since, and then COVID hit, and one of my coping mechanisms, I have many, is, well, I become obsessed with fictional characters, we know this, and like TV shows and movies. But another one is I kind of become obsessed with fictional, like, I say ways of being, that's not correct. Taking in, not mottos, but kind of that, like ways of living, mottos from different things. So one of them was dark academia this past like month, and it would influence how I dressed, like the way that I studied. I started studying a lot like later at night, which ended up working really well for me, and I do these things to cope because they make it a bit more fun and interesting for me. And so I like go on Pinterest a lot, make like a little Pinterest board about it, and one of the things that makes me really want to do is like go to museums, and it's what got me back into poetry because I was like, oh, I went around charity shops and picked up some old poetry books that I can like annotate and stuff, and that was great. Another example that I could give is like in the Percy Jackson world, for example, I have 3 houses that I resonate with. We're going full nerd for an absolute minute. I am in cabin 3, I'm child of Poseidon, but I really connect with cabin 6, which is daughter of Athena, child of Athena, not just daughters. I feel like if I was in the Percy Jackson world, I would be Annabeth and Percy's child. I am both of them combined together. Like, I'm not as irrational as Percy, but I'm not as Annabeth as Annabeth, you know, I'm more Annabeth than Percy. Anyway, so sometimes I would make like, I've got a Daughter of Athena Pinterest board with like all of these certain quotes and all of these, like, I get really inspired by like pictures and what I can see, which I think is why I like stick things up around my room and and spend my life on Pinterest. One of the things that for a week got me studying really hard is just being like, what would Annabeth do? Imagine I'm studying in cabin 6 in Camp Half-Blood. This is how it would be. Before I've done it with Hogwarts, what else have I done it with? And it makes me laugh and it's fun and it sounds really stupid to everybody else, but like it makes me work harder because I find things that I connect with and resonate with and inspire me and push me forward. Dark Academia basically helped me because it was like learning to fall back in love with studying again. But yeah, basically, long story short, that was such a ramble. How much of that will I cut out? Who knows? I want to visit museums. Number 9, be more comfortable / at home with myself. I'll go into this when I reflect on last year. God, I've still got to reflect on last year. This is gonna be a full like half an hour video, I'm predicting. I had other resolutions to do with myself last year, but this one is to be more comfortable within myself. I think lockdown is kind of made me a bit more introverted at the start, but that was more introverted in the like, I don't want to talk to anyone way, not in the I'm my own best friend and I love my own company way. It was more of a like protection because I can't see anybody, so I want to make myself not want to see anybody, and I don't want that. Like, I'm very fine being introverted. I am normally an ambivert, but I was like, I'm fine being introverted for this season of life, but I want it to be because I love my own company, because it refuels me, not just by default, not just because I kind of have to. So just being a lot more comfortable with that, and I want to be my own safety blanket. I also want God to be my safety blanket. This is not me trying to like inflate my own self-importance before God. Like obviously one of the things I do want to work on this year is like continuing to keep God at the forefront, and like I'm doing a freaking law degree because I felt that that was what you wanted me to do. Like just be more at home with myself. And number 10 is check up on friends more. People have been checking up on me because I've been very emotionally fragile, and everyone knows that the law degree is really freaking hard, and because of that I've been in a bit of a, I'm going to say the word season again, been in a bit of a season where like I have been more of a flake of a friend because I've needed a bit more looking after, so I've not been very good at reciprocating that. So people have been really nice to me and I've not been doing the good job of giving that back, and I want to work on that this year. Okay, finally we're through that bit. Do I have a quote that I want this year? Oh, actually I think I've got something. Okay, this is part of my dark academia vibes life, and someone said, every morning I wake up and get my coffee and I recite in my head this excerpt from Invitation by Mary Oliver. It is a serious thing just to be alive on this fresh morning in the broken world. And I just say it over and over again until it sticks to my mind for the rest of the day. It is a serious thing. I am alive. I'm so lucky. This fresh morning I get the chance to live again and again and again. And I need that because I often have been waking up just being like, same shit, different day. I don't have the energy for this. I've just lost, which I think has happened to a lot of people in the pandemic, but I've just lost like the excitement about life because I don't feel like I have much to be excited about. But like Alice, oh my God, you have so much to be excited about. Like the small things, like new books arriving and like being able to read poetry, and like coffee. I love coffee. I love making coffee. I'm so lucky that I now have a little coffee machine that I can like do all my fancy stuff, and like look how cool these hot chocolates are. Do you know what I mean? Food, spending time with my family, watching TV with them. I do have so much to be excited about and like happy for in my life as it is now. But I just need reminding of it because sometimes I really struggle to see it. Life's just a lot better when you learn to be really grateful for all the small things, and I recently have been really struggling with that, and I just haven't been seeing them or paying attention to them, which I know is completely understandable. And like when I say the pandemic has hit me like a truck, it has, because I've struggled with it quite a lot, but it's also taught me so much about myself and about other people and life in general and what I want to do. That is, I think, my summary for this year. If you're still here, congratulations. I'm now going to look back on last year, so like this will be even longer. Maybe it won't, who knows. So written down for last year, I had whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're probably right, because that's something that my dad always told me that his dad told him. I definitely think that that is true. I think I've been struggling with that a lot more this year because law degree is academically really hard, and so after a level I was like, I don't know how much of this is about my confidence and how much of this is about whether I can actually do this. Yeah, that was just kind of chucked in there. Okay, number 2, get a 2-1 in my degree. I did. I have a degree. Didn't get graduation, but that's happening virtually in February, and me and my mum and dad are going to make like a big thing of it because I nearly wasn't going to do it because I was like, I'm so over it. Like I'm in another degree, like I'm past the point of caring. But I bought a pretty dress and we're going to have like a boozy breakfast and make a thing of it. Literally it's virtual, and mum and dad are going to watch it on the TV, and I'm going to be in Grace's room on my little computer ready for when they're like Alice Walters, and I'm going to be like, and that's it. That's all it is. That's literally all it is. I already have the certificate, but we're going to make a thing of it. I got a 2-1. Thank you. Thank you to the no detriment policy, because that brought me up from probably like a 62 to a 65. So like, thank you. Number 3 was serve at church. Well, I served as students at Sorry, I am such a creep. We have this estate agent across the road. God, I fancy him. I don't. I'm just bored. Purely as an interest in the pandemic, because he still comes into work. Me and my dad in the morning will be like, oh, his car's here. Move on. I served at the 11 and I was all fine and dandy until COVID. Oh no, that's such a lie. I ran a student group with Imi and Jacob over the end of 3rd year. So I guess I kind of served, but not really. I haven't served at my new church, basically. I'm okay with that, with how that has gone. Number 4, talk to my family more. You know what, God works in freaking mysterious ways, because this year, obviously, I had to move home during COVID, and I was planning on moving home in summer anyway, but it wouldn't have been until like August, September, and I do think that being home at COVID It's what triggered also my sister to move out as well, to find somewhere else to go, because she was working as an essential worker during the first lockdown in like May, so she didn't want to live here because mum and dad are quite vulnerable. So I do think that it definitely healed a lot of our like family tensions, and obviously it meant I spoke to my family a lot more because I was living here. And I think it's so good that it happened at the end of my third year, because if all of that like process and getting used to how each other lives and all this stuff happened when I'd started my new degree in September, I think it would have been a huge shock and adjustment, but we kind of got that all out of the way over summer. And yeah, so I think that's been great. That's gone great. Very happy with that. Listen to what God says for my life. I haven't really asked God what he wants for my life since I felt like he told me to do law. So I'm doing the law, and now I'm like, okay, now what? You know, but I know that I haven't been spending as much time with him like asking about it, because it took a really long time to get like even a faint image of what I thought he would want me to do anyway with the law stuff, let alone like narrowing down the specifics. I'm very proud of myself actually, like for following what God says for my life. Like, don't get me wrong, it wasn't that hard, because it wasn't like I had a complete life plan and a life trajectory, and doing law would have completely taken me off of that. I didn't know what I was going to do, so my logic with the law thing was like, well, it might not be God. I think it is, but I was like, even if it's not, what have I got to lose? Like, I could end this year, have a master's in law, and like I decide I don't want to do law, fine, but like there's literally no negative outcome that could be from me listening to God now in this time. And I think it's been great, because like what else would I have done this year? Sit at home and be unemployed, because I wouldn't have got a job. So quite proud of myself for actually like following what God says to me, because it's a really scary thing to do, because you're like, am I just creating this in my brain, you know? Number 6, do more for other people. I have not done much. I've done okay. I've not done the best with that, but I think I've been good to my family. I think we've got on quite well. I mean, I haven't helped out around the house much, but I think like relationship wise we've been doing really well. So I don't really know how I feel about that. Number 7, don't beat yourself up as much. I've been doing better at that, 100%. That's something I'm really proud of. And at the end of my last video, I was in resolutions last year, I spoke about how I just wanted to be more confident in myself. I wanted to be a little ray of sunshine and happy, and I didn't just want to like wake up and be miserable all the time. I've done better with that. I think the ray of sunshine has been dampened a little bit because pandemic, but I'm a lot more confident in myself. That is one thing I will thank the pandemic for. When you're at home and you're not going anywhere and nobody sees you, you wear what you want, you do your makeup how you want, you don't do your makeup, you listen to the things that you enjoy, you watch the things that you enjoy, not because you're watching what other people think you should watch. All of those things, I stepped out of my comfort zone with like clothes, the TikTok trends and Pinterest trends. Oh my god, Grace is ringing me, but I'm filming a video. Can I call you in 5 minutes, or do you not have 5 minutes?
I'm not on a lunch break.
I am filming, let me pause the video. So, small interlude. Grace rang me and haven't actually spoken to her in a while, so that was really, really nice. Grace is my twin sister, in case you didn't know. I think I was talking about confidence and embracing my nerdiness, which I've done better at. I think the thing was, and obviously what did help was I was in therapy from November 2019 to February 2020, and that was for low self-esteem, anxiety and depression, and it was group therapy, and I hated it the whole time. I had like one friend there because it was very nerve-wracking, but oh my god, it helped. If I live in the world of like, I'm not good enough, like Alice isn't good enough, so this is what not good enough Alice does. Just like, what would you do for a day if you lived in a world where like Alice was good enough? What would she do? What would happen? And I was like, oh my god. And it changed the way that I thought, because I just started living in this world of like, let's just pretend that I am good enough. What would I do? And then after a while, you just like, all of those negative thoughts that would be in my head 24/7 just like started to disappear. What I say sometimes to people is like, so I would look in the mirror now and I wouldn't automatically be like, oh my god, I hate myself, you're so ugly, da 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 da, like I used to. But don't get me wrong, if I had to nitpick, I could be like, oh yeah, I mean, I still don't like my nose, I've never really liked my nose, I still don't like this, da da da. But I don't think about it. Like, I don't think about it as much as I used to. It's not the first thing that comes to mind, or even the second thing that comes to mind. Like, those things are still there, those insecurities are still there, but they're not important to me anymore. They're not all I think about, they don't take over my life. And so I'm definitely a lot more confident in myself, because I'm just like, everything's fine. Like, I just don't really think about the bad stuff about myself, which was my main issue. I mean, I was in low self-esteem therapy, like I didn't like myself. And I feel like I like myself now. I heard someone say in a video last night like that they're their own best friend, and I was like, actually I really do like that, because not in like I don't need anybody else way, but just in like you connect really well with people who have the same interests as you and stuff like that. And I'm like, I have the same interests as me, like I obsess over certain shows, and I was like, I don't need to have to like find someone else that likes those things to message them about it. Like I can be my own best friend, I can enjoy the shows I enjoy and the books I enjoy and like be happy with that, you know? Anyway, quickly, battery's flashing. Then it was apply for the MA Law. I did that, got in, I'm doing it, haha. And then number 9 was actually study, which I did. Studied in my last degree, study now. I should be studying now because I've got exams in 6 days, but here I am. So yeah, oh, books. I said I was gonna read 6 books last year because the year before I'd read like 4 books, but this year I did well. In 2020 I read 34 books, but it's been a hell of a year. There's still a long way to go with the pandemic and how everything's going. The year wasn't what I thought it would be, but I've learned a lot about myself. I've learned to be kinder to myself and to love myself a little bit more. I've had some bumps. I went from being really vulnerable with my emotions to not really talking about my emotions to being in the middle to all of that. And I'm learning, I'm still learning. I've got a lot to learn, mentally, academically, physically, relationally, but I am okay and everything is okay and my family are all safe. And yeah, it's been a weird year, and if I wouldn't have filmed this yesterday because I was very depressing, but like today I feel okay and everything is going to be okay, and there are some beautiful things out in the world that make everything a little bit better. For me, it's comfort characters, fictional worlds and books. Yeah, so that is all from me for today. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I'm gonna love you and leave you, and I will see you hopefully next Monday with another video. Bye!